Hello and welcome back to Hydroponics Daily, your go-to podcast for everything soilless cultivation. I'm your host, Dr. Russell Sharp, and today's subject is wheatgrass. It's not only is this soilless, it can also be fertilizer-less, nutrient-less, because when you grow wheatgrass, you don't use any nutrients normally. So what is wheatgrass? And well, we'll go into all the details about wheatgrass, how you grow it, what to do, and I'll also give you a top tip at the end, which is my top tip, which I think can make wheatgrass growing profitable when otherwise it might not be. I've got a massive way to cut costs when it comes to wheatgrass production. So wheatgrass is basically wheat, the same stuff that goes into farmer's field, but you grow it in small trays indoors and you produce a juice at the end. Well, normally you produce a juice. You can mix that with other juices to make it more palatable because some people don't find it very nice to drink. Or you can just feed the tray of wheatgrass to your cats because it's a food that's given to cats as a sort of like medicine type thing or things like this. So you get a load of wheatgrass seeds and basically you soak them like you would any other seed, but you need a lot of wheatgrass seeds. So I'm not sure how many grams you need per seed tray, but you need to be 2 or 3 seeds deep on a seed tray. So you can measure those out in the seed tray before you soak them, put them in a mason jar, soak them for about 8 hours, and then drain the mason jar, leave it draining, and then refresh that every sort of 12 hours or every day for a few days, and then drain them again. Just so there's nice fresh water in there. And then they'll have sprouted when the little root radical, that's the word, didn't have to Google it that time, emerges. Then it's time to sow them in the seed tray. So a small amount of grow media, whether it's an inert grow media or a grown compost, very, very small amounts required because it's not required for nutrition, just for holding the wheat roots. And you sow them, say, 2-3 deep, so really thick. Water them again, make sure there's a nice water reservoir below the grow media, and then put a propagation tray on them, so a clear, transparent propagation lid, and then put them somewhere nice and fairly warm, but also indirect light. So that could be a propagation light, either a fluorescent or a low-powered propagation LED, or indirect sunlight. So in a kitchen windowsill or something like that. Don't put them in direct sunlight in a greenhouse or under a high-pressure sodium lamp or a really high-powered LED because you'll damage the foliage and also you won't get that sweet, tender growth. You don't need a lot of photosynthesis because these are not requiring nutrients. They're just developing to the point where you're going to harvest them. So when they come to what's called the jointing stage is when you harvest them. It's normally about 7 to 8 weeks when the joint on the leaves that forms on a wheat plant rises above the surface of the growing media. And before that occurs, you're refreshing with fresh water every day or so. And after a few days, once the green shoots have emerged, you remove that propagation lid and just allow them to grow in the ambient conditions. Obviously, they're growing so fast, pests and diseases are not normally an issue. If you do get pests and diseases, you just dump them because you don't want to be treating these plants with pesticides or any other sorts of compounds. You don't add any fertilizer, as I said. That's only going to make them more astringent, increase the chlorophyll levels, and things like this. You can grow them completely in the dark and produce like an etiolated one. That's very popular with like maize, like popcorn, golden popcorn, and whatever it's called. But for wheatgrass, they're normally grown green, and you harvest them very, very close to the growing media. So you get as much as possible without contaminating the growing media in the juice. And that's an advantage for using hydroponics and soilless cultivation, because if you're using propagation, compost and mix or soil, anything loam-based, you've got potential there for contamination with the soil and any microbes that are growing in it. And that's not cool because you're not going to be washing the wheatgrass before you make a juice normally. It's normally like a liquid herbal supplement. It's not cooked. Another reason why you need to be careful about contamination with microbes. So this health food, I always say it would be a good one for grow shops to grow because you could offer wheatgrass shots to your customers. It's a good one for anyone working in hydroponics to have growing around so you can offer it to customers as they come in, or colleagues or suppliers. It's an interesting taste. It's something to discuss. It's a talking point, and it's very quick to grow. You just need the main cost is the seeds and your time and the planning and things like this. So that's something important to consider. When you cut wheat, it will come again. It will grow again because the meristem is like a lawn turf. It's at the bottom of the plant, and so it will produce more leaves once it's been cut. However, With wheatgrass, it's not cut and come again like a lettuce plant, where once it's cut, then its usability is gone because all the energy for that wheat was in the seed, and that's what you're after. You don't want it to have to go again and make more. You just throw the plant away, recycle the compost if you're using compost or cocoa, and then put fresh grow media in, fresh seed, and go again. And this is really high throughput hydroponics. Really easy, really probably the easiest type of hydroponics, the cleanest form of hydroponics you can use. Really good way to get people and kids involved in growing plants. And now is time for my number one top tip. So when you buy wheatgrass seed, you might go and buy, say, 5 grams from a dedicated seed merchant and pay through the roof for it. You might go onto eBay and buy some dedicated wheatgrass seeds, and there'll be microgreen suppliers who are supplying wheatgrass seed for you from specialist microgreen seed producers. And a lot of the people who do podcasts on microgreens and YouTube sell through these. But the best way to get your seed is to speak to a local farmer if you're in an area that grows wheat and ask them for some of their farm saved seed. And you will get that for a fraction of the cost that you can buy online. So worth getting out there, getting on the phone, speaking to some wheat farmers. They'll love to get involved with and sell you some seed, some of their farm saved seed. If it's the right time of year, you can buy a big bulk bag. As long as you store it well, that will last you a year, and or it'll certainly store for a year perfectly well. The one caveat is don't buy the seed the farmers buy for their feed, because it could be what's called dressed. And dressed or coated means that it contains a pesticide or other synthetic or other ingredients on it, fertilizers, and you don't want that because the pesticide will still be active in the wheatgrass plant when it germinates in that stage. So definitely don't buy wheat. Don't cut corners and buy wheat that is suitable for growing by farmers. What you want is the farm saved wheat that hasn't been dressed, hasn't been coated, that the farmer's grown either to save for himself or to sell for bread and biscuits and things like that. That will save you massive costs, because you think about it, 3 seeds deep in a seed tray. That's where the cost comes from. Wheat in wheatgrass production is all those seeds. So you can vastly reduce that by just speaking to a farmer and getting yourself down to the farm, picking up a big bag. They'll be more than happy. They'll love talking to you about growing wheat and how you do it. And obviously you don't need to spend a lot of money on your grow facilities, just a low value light and nice and cool. You're going to use a juicing machine. My advice when it comes to juicing, if you use juicing, is to invest in a good quality juicer. So don't buy the cheapest one. You want like a screw press juicer. I've got one of these. It's a world of difference between the ones that rotate and spin are rubbish and rubbish for doing things like this. You want a screw press juicer that will produce like a pulp at the end and the juice. So have you grown wheatgrass? Do you think I've missed anything in particular? What do you think of my top tip of using farm saved seed to grow it? I'm not sure if you can do barley grass seed juice. I'm not sure, but you can definitely do spelt. That's one of the different varieties that you can use. You could potentially use it as fodder for animal feed, but the real high value use is for making juice in juice bars. Set up your own juice bar and you could charge an extortionate amount, certainly more than you could for, say, an Americano or a latte, frappuccino. Could you mix the two together? Could you get coffee and wheatgrass? Is that the new Labubu / Dubai chocolate? Have I just come up with the next viral food trend, wheatgrass coffee? Let me know if you've tried it. I might go and make myself a wheatgrass coffee and see what it is and feedback to you. I might drink a cupful on an episode soon, so let me know. That should be interesting. Be like one of those challenged Instagram accounts. You don't think I can eat a Carolina Reaper? Do you not know who I am? Them sorts of ones. That'll be a good episode. Hopefully I won't vomit on it, that episode. Anyway, that's enough of disgusting chat. If you're into wheatgrass and you know somebody who is, share this episode with them. And if you've had this episode shared with you because you're an expert in wheatgrass, then you owe the person who shared it with you a beer or a wheatgrass juice or something nice to drink, cold drink, if you found it useful. If not, my apologies for making you listen to all this drivel for 5 or 10 minutes. Thank you very much for listening to Hydroponics Daily. Until tomorrow, goodbye.